Trepanation was an ancient practice where people literally drilled a hole into someone's skull. Yes, they opened the head on purpose to release evil spirits, cure migraines, or just improve the mood. Thousands of years ago, from ancient Peru to medieval Europe, this was considered a legitimate medical procedure. And the tools they used? Let's just say even a bargain hardware store wouldn't dare sell them. Think stone blades, hand-cranked drills, or even heated metal. No anesthesia, no antibiotics, just hope, prayers, and probably screams echoing across 3 villages. What's even more unbelievable is that many patients actually survived, and some ancient physicians considered this the premium treatment. If you walked in with a headache, they didn't hand you aspirin. They gave you a brand new ventilation hole in your skull. And somehow, they insisted it was completely normal. Ancient records even show people going through trepanation more than once, like they were collecting loyalty stamps. If they lived in the modern era, they'd be influencers. Day 15 of having my skull ventilated. Guys, the breeze hits different. Bro, is that real? They drilled people's heads like it was a weekend DIY project? Yep, and the craziest part? They were proud of it. Proud? Man, I can't even open a jar of pickles without calling 911. Relax, bro. At least your skull is still factory sealed. During the Renaissance, all the way through the Victorian era, beauty often meant slowly poisoning yourself. One of the most popular trends was white lead makeup, a pale powder made from, yes, lead. The same stuff we avoid touching today was once smeared generously across noble women's faces to achieve that freshly deceased aristocrat glow. The side effects? Hair falling out, skin rotting, teeth dropping like loose change, and sometimes straight up death. But they kept using it every single day because, according to beauty standards at the time, the paler you were, the prettier you looked. If your skin started peeling off, no problem. Just slap on another layer of lead powder and pretend everything's fine. It was a never-ending cycle even TikTok beauty hacks wouldn't touch. Some women also used belladonna, an extract from a deadly plant, dripped directly into the eyes to make their pupils look bigger and more seductive. The problem? This lovely little concoction could cause permanent blindness. So yeah, they might have looked enchanting at the party, but good luck seeing their way home afterward. Imagine someone back then saying, beauty is pain, and then actually dying because of their makeup. In 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, Europe, one of the strangest events in human history unfolded: the dancing plague. Hundreds of people suddenly began dancing non-stop in the streets. Not because of a festival, not because of music, and definitely not because they were attending the world's first Zumba class. They danced because they couldn't stop. Literally couldn't. It all started when a woman named Frau Trophäa began dancing alone in the middle of town for hours. At first, people watching probably thought she was just enjoying herself, until she kept going for 6 days straight. No rest, no pause, just dancing until her body nearly collapsed. And then, the bizarre part. Other townspeople joined in, not due to infection, but mass hysteria. Within weeks, over 400 people were dancing like their lives depended on it. City officials were completely baffled. Some said it was a curse. Others believed it was a psychological breakdown sweeping through the population. And then there were those who thought the best solution was to hire professional musicians to add more music, because they believed the dancers needed to dance until the evil spirits left their bodies. Not exactly the medical advice we'd recommend today. Some dancers collapsed and died from exhaustion. Imagine dying because of a dance marathon you never even signed up for. For centuries in Europe, people believed that eating parts of the human body could cure disease. Yes, really. They treated corpses as medicine. This practice was known as mumia medicinale, or mummy medicine, and it was believed to treat everything from epilepsy and bleeding to infections and even depression. If you think vitamin gummies are strange, wait until you hear this. Pharmacies at the time actually sold powders made from real Egyptian mummies, imported like luxury goods. And when they ran out of mummies, they simply switched to whatever bodies were available. Criminals, vagrants, or anyone convenient. They brewed potions from ground-up skulls, melted human fat, and even fresh blood taken straight from a recently executed body. Talk about using fresh ingredients. King Charles II of England even had his own personal recipe called King's Drops, a mix of alcohol and powdered skull. People drink it proudly, like it was the Renaissance version of an energy drink. This was truly an era where someone could say, "I have a headache," and the doctor would respond, "Try consuming some human bone, might do the trick." The wildest irony, many Europeans saw this as a refined, civilized practice, while accusing other cultures of being cannibals. Meanwhile, they were in their kitchens simmering skull broth. In the 14th century, Europe was struck by one of the greatest tragedies in human history, the Black Death. The plague wiped out a third of Europe's population and spread through fleas and rats. But at the time, nobody knew that. So they did whatever they thought made sense, which, in hindsight, made no sense at all. This was the era of the infamous plague doctors, dressed in outfits that looked like a failed Halloween cosplay. Long robes, leather gloves, and those eerie bird beak masks. The beak was stuffed with herbs, flowers, and vinegar because they believed pleasant smells could filter out the poisoned air that carried disease. Basically, they were wearing horror-themed essential oil diffusers on their faces. Even stranger, some cities hired people to walk around beating sick citizens on the back with sticks, hoping it would chase the plague away. In other places, people believed killing cats would stop the disease, when cats were actually the only creatures keeping the rat population under control. So they wiped out the cats, the rats multiplied, and voila, things got even worse. Others tried bathing in urine, marching through towns while whipping themselves, or spreading foul-smelling perfumes as protection. The world genuinely felt like a science experiment run by someone who had absolutely no idea how science works. In the late 18th to early 20th century, Western society became obsessed with one thing: electricity. To them, electricity wasn't just a brilliant invention, it was a magical cure for every human problem. Sick? Shock it. Sad? Shock it. Can't sleep? Shock it. Heartbroken? Well, a few doctors were unhinged enough to try that too. Inventors began creating electrical therapy devices marketed as cure-all machines. There were shock belts, miniature electric chairs, and handheld wands that delivered tiny jolts to different parts of the body. And those parts were not always appropriate to mention in this video. Patients willingly went to clinics just to be zapped like malfunctioning batteries. They truly believed electricity could reset the body like a frozen iPhone. Companies even sold these gadgets as household appliances. Americans bought shock machines and used them in their living rooms while reading the newspaper. Imagine your grandmother suddenly saying, honey, my arthritis is flaring up," and then electrocuting herself with something that looked like a laptop charger designed in hell. Of course, many of these devices were unsafe and caused burns, seizures, and sometimes permanent injuries. But back then, people didn't care. They saw wires and tiny sparks, and they thought this is the future of medicine.